Welcome to All Time Quarterback. I'm Jack Tomzak. That is Aaron Pankey.
Hello.
That's John Vitamus.
Good evening.
And the Green Bay Packers are not going to be part of this show today because they don't show up for things. Losing to the Ravens 23-0. As usual, I did not watch the game, so let's do a podcast about it. Is that for real, 23-0?
That's real.
Yeah. They wasted a lot of airplane gas to get where they play at home.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Flew all the way from Austin Straubel Airport to Lambeau Field.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do offensive highlights first. What do you got?
All right. First topic. We're gonna talk about something that we missed last week. Martellus Bennett moving from the Packers to the Patriots. Basically, he realized, oh, my quarterback's injured. I'll pretend to be hurt. I'll blame it on some team doctor who's been excellent for a lot of years, and then I'll go on the waiver wire, and then everybody just allows the Patriots to pick him up. And then he plays in more snaps today than he did with the Packers. Ridiculous.
He faked an injury, got out of a team that wasn't going to do well without a Hall of Fame quarterback and joined another team with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and now can play just fine?
Yes.
I don't think that he's faking the injury. I just think he's putting off having it fixed. I think he was going to have it fixed if he was still in Green Bay. But now that he's going back to play with Tom Brady, he's not going to have it fixed.
He seems fine. I mean, I watched him today. He seemed fine.
I'm with Aaron. Clearly a liar. Screw that guy and his lies. Well, if he's a liar and a cheater, the Patriots is a great place for him to be.
But here's the thing: there's two ways to look at this. One, you've not heard a single Packer player criticizing the organization for letting this guy go. So they clearly aren't fighting to keep him here. But the second thing is, and probably the more interesting thing is, why not just put him on injured reserve and let him sit there? Why cut him? Why waive him? He's still an asset. You look at what the Seahawks did with Marshawn Lynch. He retired. They just held on to his assets. He wanted to play again. They got something back in trade for a guy who was never going to play for them again. But the Packers are so trying to be thrifty and so worried about saving money by paying undrafted free agents, obviously, that it's just business as normal to get rid of a guy without using any strategy involved in how you run your organization.
Yeah, it's Ted Thompson's fault. He's to be fired. And why does the rest of the league not pick him up?
Because he and his agent told everybody not to.
Wow.
So why did he lie again?
He would have just sat out for them.
Somebody should have just, but you don't let the Patriots get him. I mean, somebody, come on.
Well, I'm sure somebody thought that somebody else was going to pick him up before the Patriots did.
Gosh.
I did see a funny tweet after this afternoon's game that this guy's name is Michael Rodney, and said, after today's game, 25 Packers have announced they have injuries and plan on retiring after the season in the hopes of getting released and joining the Patriots.
So
let's get back to the game, though. Offensive highlights.
Yeah.
Okay, defensive highlights.
I do have offensive highlights.
Was there something? Oh, yes. Wait, actually, you texted me before the game and said, "Oh, late sleeper. This Mays guy might be a late sleeper," and so then his first carry was a fumble.
Yep. So was his third one.
So he's a really late sleeper.
Oh,
yeah. He kept sleeping. No, the highlight that I saw offensively was every time Brett Hundley threw a pass, it seemed like it was headed in double coverage. And the only thing that I could keep thinking of was the movie Dodgeball and Jason Bateman saying, "That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it turns out for him." I mean, that first interception in the end zone was garbage into double coverage. The second interception was a wounded duck that was woefully underthrown. I just don't understand what he was looking at when he makes some of those decisions. But yeah, that's it.
So your offensive highlight was a movie quote.
It made me laugh the entire time. Every time he threw the ball, that's a highlight for me.
Well, that's the point of football. It's entertainment. It's supposed to make you happy.
I mean, they had 5 turnovers, right?
They had 2 fumbles, 3 picks. Yep.
Oh,
He had 4 of them.
Hit four turnovers.
Yep.
And we were shut out. We haven't been shut out since
11 years ago. Yeah, to the day.
Flynn,
2006.
right? Yeah, when Flynn came in. Yeah, and now the next game, Vegas already has this as a double-digit 14 points.
What, are we skipping the defensive highlights of this game? You can't look ahead to next week. We're looking at this today's game, Aaron. We're not looking down the road. We're keeping.
I don't even want to watch the film on this.
We're good. Well, I'm sure they don't either, so don't worry about it. Yeah. We'll get back to the Brett Hundley thing, and I thought the defense. I mean, prefacing it by saying that was one of the worst offenses in football in the Baltimore Ravens. I thought the defense played pretty well. They only gave up 219 yards. They were put in some tough spots. They did force a red zone turnover, which is the first time they'd not allowed points in the red zone this season. And they got some pressure on the quarterback. So, but
well, I mean, and I would say too, the defense did play well enough. I mean, how many points did they get off of turnovers? I mean, the first 3 turnovers, they forced them to punt or got it back, right? So, I mean, they played well.
Yeah, they played well enough to win. Absolutely. If they hadn't been given short fields for the entire second half, they would have been fine. I didn't see. I mean, obviously, it's not a championship caliber defense, but they've never needed one with a championship caliber quarterback. So
they played the game in throwback uniforms.
Yes.
Okay, do you know how hard it is for a backup quarterback who's used to throwing to regular uniforms to then switch to throwback uniforms? It's very confusing. No wonder he had 4 turnovers.
Well, not to mention that the fact that they put him in a uniform from an era that didn't include the forward pass anyway. So
maybe he was just being historically accurate.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Oh, I accidentally fumbled this ball forward. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's a scrum broke out. I don't know.
So we need a new quarterback. Let's all agree we need a new quarterback.
No, we don't need a new quarterback. We need our old quarterback.
Well, we need him back. But in the meantime,
Sam Bradford.
Why not throw somebody else out there?
Literally anybody else.
Anybody.
Right?
Something.
Are you that concerned about Joe Callahan that you're not even willing to give him a shot? Like he's got to be better than this.
He's probably having that conversation with the coach right now. Guy, I know I'm the 3rd stringer and you're worried, but we're kind of fucked at this point. So how about you put me in?
Right?
Family show.
Yeah, I got to remember when that was and edit that out.
There's no editing. Family show.
All right. Now.
Let's get Callahan out there. Let's get somebody. Cobb. Somebody.
You? This is another reason to fire Ted Thompson.
Hands down.
Because listen to this. I wrote this down because I was curious. So I went back and looked, and I wanted to make sure that I got it right. These are the last 5 quarterbacks that Ted Thompson has actually selected in a draft. In 2015, he selected Brett Hundley in the 5th round. In 2012, he selected B.J. Coleman in the 7th round. In 2008, Brian Brom in the 2nd round and Matt Flynn in the 7th round. And in 2006, Ingle Martin in the 5th round. They have not once actually invested in having a good backup quarterback. They just figure that Aaron Rodgers is going to be healthy every game, and they don't want to spend money on a backup quarterback.
Which is insane because didn't he come in as a backup for Favre and hurt his foot? I mean, it's not like Aaron Rodgers is not the Iron Man that Brett Favre was, so you shouldn't build your team around assuming something that isn't true.
Right. Well, and one person shouldn't, I mean, as good as he shouldn't be the end-all, be-all of your organization.
I just pictured Ted Thompson in a meeting. Guys, I've got an analogy. Aaron is our basket. And we're going to put all the eggs in that one basket.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off.
Don't you think that's a bad idea?
The fans shouldn't even have let Ted Thompson leave the stadium today. They should have been with
I think advocating murder is a little
and torches ready to bust down the door and get him out of there. I mean, that's terrible. The fact that you continue to pick terrible players and don't put anybody around. You built sort of a defense, sure, and the coaching is playing okay against another bad defense, and sure, you're playing. The chances of you coming back are still there, but the fact is that you picked garbage, and you just continue to pick garbage, and you don't do anything about it. Like, you just sit there on your high horse in your white ivory tower with green and gold on and say, "Oh, we're gonna be fine." Enough.
To be fair,
like, get rid of them.
To be fair, Green Bay is a pretty white city. I wouldn't criticize them. Anyway, who picked Aaron Rodgers? Was that a Ted Thompson move?
He fell to you. He fell to you because the 49ers, he was going to be the number one pick. And then all of a sudden at the last moment, Alex Smith got picked and he fell. And you lucked out.
You did luck out. And let's say, just for argument's sake, that Aaron Rodgers didn't pan out. The entire decade of the 2000s would be absolute garbage. We would have gone through 3 head coaches already. We would probably gone through 2 GMs.
Or there wouldn't be Ted Thompson would have been gone by now.
Oh, easily. Yeah. So, yeah, he's completely lucky, and that's, probably why he doesn't want to have a backup behind Aaron Rodgers, because he can't fathom a world without him. But here we are, and he's not doing anything about it.
Hey, Ted, what if Aaron gets hurt? What do you mean?
Fired.
If he gets hurt, that can't happen. Tell me that can't happen.
I mean, Ted is trying to pick backups. I mean, he is. Like, he realizes that Rodgers could get hurt. I mean, he's a pretty unintelligent person, but he does realize people get hurt. And like, they could cut their finger or whatever.
Where's Mark Brunell?
He's looking to get other ones. Like, you just listed off the backups he's picked, and none of them.
The 5 dumpster fires.
Jeez.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know if he thinks that if he picks a good quarterback to be Aaron Rodgers' backup, that all of a sudden he's going to invite some sort of quarterback controversy that he doesn't want, or if it's just that he doesn't want to pay a guy 7 figures to hold a clipboard. Well, Brett Hundley's not holding the clipboard anymore.
No, he's throwing a football.
Not very well, though.
To the wrong people.
He should be throwing clipboards, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe he's been practicing. Like, the feel of the ball is just weird to him. He's used to clipboards.
And it hurts so much when you watch.
There are laces on this thing?
Other teams in the division with Case Keenum.
Oh,
who used to play for the Rams, who then goes out and beats the Rams today.
Yep.
You're like, gosh, why can't we just have a guy like that?
I just got a rundown of my of how the Minnesota Vikings are doing from my Up and Adam co-host Ben, and it seems like
podcast.
He does not. He does run a Vikings podcast called "This Is the Year." That's not my joke. That's his joke. But Ben explained to me he didn't watch the Packers game today, so he didn't feel that he should come on the Packers podcast. I don't have that kind of pride in my work because I don't watch the game either. But
bring him on. Let's bring him on. Let's hear what he says about Case Keenum. Let's bring him on. Talk about Case Keenum.
I'm going to trade everything with him. And Ben can explain to you all the things that you explained to me, Ben, that the Packers didn't do with their team. So I'm going to
talk to us about Case Keenum. I know this is tough, but let's just hear what a normal backup can do for a team.
Well, this is the backup to the backup. Remember, this was
You're hoarding backup quarterbacks
essentially, but it's Vikings. Vikings Case Keenum is so much better than Rams Case Keenum. Let's just put that out there.
Oh, for sure.
This all comes down to the offensive line. Somehow the Minnesota Vikings took a terrible offensive line last year, and they are a shutdown offensive line this year. So much time in the backfield for whoever the quarterback happens to be to make a decision. So much time for whoever the running back happens to be. Because remember, the Vikings put in Cook to replace Adrian Peterson. He got injured in the fourth week, and the Vikings are getting more running yards per game after Cook than with Cook because of this offensive line.
Wait a minute.
podcast.
Wait a minute. Before he leaves, real quick, I want to ask you a question.
I didn't hear anything about Case Keenum. I heard about the offensive line.
Yeah,
but this is the thing. It is the offensive line. It's the fact that there's these young receivers who can do amazing things, like Adam Thielen, like Diggs, like I'm blanking on our tight end's name, but it's our Rudolph. Our receivers are catching balls that no one should be able to catch, but they are. I mean, it really comes down to you can have a backup guy turn into a great quarterback if he's got a great offensive line in front of him, and wide receivers who will catch what is thrown to them.
Now, I think the Packers have decent skill guys, except for running backs. They don't have those. But you're
saying I'm convinced that the Packers wideouts only looked good because of Rodgers.
You're probably right. But if a quarterback had time to throw to them, I think they would be better than what they look with Hundley. But you're saying if you invest in the people that protect your star asset,
absolutely,
that works better than.
This is why the Wisconsin Badgers are 11-0 and going up against the Gophers this weekend for the X, and going up against, it's probably going to be Ohio State for the Big Ten Championship, and are number 5 in the world because the Wisconsin Badgers take the time to recruit the offensive line. You have to invest in the offensive line.
Are you saying that Jack Tomczak could quarterback the Vikings?
Yes. Yes, I'm saying that. Jack Tomczak.
Too far.
Quarterback the Minnesota Vikings.
Too far.
That's
yeah. I mean, your point is well made about investing in an offensive line, but that's too far.
What did you like about Keenum? Tell me give me 3 nuggets about Keenum.
He doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
I assume you're still talking about me.
Case Keenum seems to be able to put the ball where it's supposed to be. I've yet to see him throw a really dumb pass. A lot of that happens to be that our offensive coordinator is not making him run a bunch of dumb plays. I mean, it's almost as if they're purposefully making it hard for him to screw up. But what I love about Case Keenum is he is patient in the pocket. He does not freak out when the pocket starts to collapse. If it does collapse, he's mature enough to step up in the pocket. He takes his time. He looks around. He reads. If he doesn't like what he sees, he finds a new place to stand on the field and starts looking over again. And by that time, someone's got to be open. If not,
like
he can
quarterback is supposed to, right?
Right, but it's just he has so much time.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to step up in the pocket. He's not afraid to call his own number if he sees an opening for himself. It's just he's confident. He's a confident quarterback, and I don't think he's ever had that in his career.
Well, and I think that's what comes with being a veteran, playing for quite a few years, and then you get into a system and you have these weapons and you have that offensive line.
Right.
You can start to.
And this is even before we talk about the Minnesota defense, who's the real star of this team. The Vikings played the.
He's very loud.
The kicking game's very good too.
Very close to my ear.
Blah, blah, blah. It's the Los Angeles Rams came in the highest scoring offense in the league, number 1 offense in the league, 32 points a game, and they left Minnesota only scoring 7 points in that game. The Vikings defense is what's going to take them through to the playoffs and beyond.
Well, it's that damn horn. If they keep playing that thing all the time,
it's like the South Park brown note. Teams come into our building and they shit themselves.
Stupidest damn thing. Appreciate it.
So,
but what Ben talked about there,
and an offensive line, and some running backs, and like 3 quarterbacks who aren't awful. Just do that, and some receivers.
But what Ben was explaining there, which I gleaned from his,
I could hear it very loudly in my ear.
Team, is that having a veteran backup provides you a certain level
security,
of comfort and some stability and some things that you can count on.
Are you coming around to Brett Favre coming back to the team?
Well,
I don't even think it has to be a veteran. You don't have to go out and get a veteran. Like the fact that the Packers way back when had Doug Peterson for 10 years because he never really wanted to be a starter was a great asset. Don't get me wrong. But, in the 90s when Ron Wolf was there, he drafted a quarterback just about every other year, if not every year. Like he's picking in back-to-back years. He picked Ty Detmer, Mark Brunell, and then Aaron Brooks 2 years later. The year after that was Matt Hasselbeck. Like you're going to find one if you keep bringing them in, but you can't keep bringing in 7th-round draft picks and undrafted free agents thinking they're going to be a savior. They're not.
Right.
There's got to be another Detmer or Hasselbeck out there somewhere that we could bring to the team.
Right.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. or a 5-gallon pail from Home Depot. Just snap the ball right into it.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, I read some reports that they were talking about maybe firing Capers. After this performance, do you still want to fire Capers?
I wanted to fire him from the start of the season 3 years ago, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that I'd fire him. I mean, obviously, if you fire McCarthy, then he's gone too. But I would.
I read the report saying that the problem was on the defense. Do you still think that?
Well, where's the 0 points on offense?
Right.
Or turnovers. I don't know which one you guys said. I think it was you, Vinny, but I could be wrong. Last week, or the week before. It's not going to be McCarthy. It's going to be, they're going to start firing, or it's not going to be Ted Thompson. They start firing other people.
To protect his own job.
Yeah.
Right. But all those people are going to find out the same thing that McCarthy has found out, is that it's hard to win without talent. And I'm not saying that I'm a Mike McCarthy backer by any stretch, but, when you're rolling out there with JV players on a Friday night varsity game, you're going to lose.
What about
we found out when we were seniors?
Yeah.
I'm slowly switching away from being a McCarthy backer. I mean, I always sort of believed, especially after watching him take Flynn and still being productive. I was actually at the game where Flynn threw 4 touchdowns, and I'm like, he's the next Hall of Famer guy, just sort of jokingly, but I think he's lost.
Well, do you remember
their mojo?
Do you remember when Mike McCarthy won the Super Bowl 10 years ago?
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah, that grace period is clearly run out.
You got a few more years left of Aaron Rodgers rebuild. So he can play the last, I don't know, 5 years of his career. I don't know how old he is.
If the Packers get a top 7 draft pick, which would be great with 5 more years of Aaron Rodgers, depending on who you pick in that spot. But if they end up getting a top 7 draft pick, they're just going to be wasting it if Ted Thompson is going to be the person making that selection.
I know what we need to do. Reggie White.
Junior?
Maybe. Bold trade. Is it? I don't know how trade things work. Is it too late to pick up a quarterback from Colin Kaepernick?
It's not too late to sign somebody, but it's too late to trade for one.
So, the signing period might be over too.
What about like a thing where you
it's coming up.
Let a fan be the quarterback for the week?
Well, that's what they should do, is just start having a random fan appreciation sweepstakes.
Yeah. Or like an extra running back. You just skip the quarterback.
Just find out during pregame that your ticket was drawn and you get to come on down, put the pads on, and be the quarterback for the day.
Who wants a head injury that'll ruin their life?
I mean, it's not like they can score -4 points or anything like that. So what's the difference?
I didn't watch the game. I don't have the football eyes that you guys do. Wood putting in random. Who's our third stringer? Joe Nobody.
Callahan. Yeah.
Put in Tommy Callahan's boy and see what we can do.
Well, let's just. I mean, at the end of the game, why not?
Right.
I mean.
You clearly know that you're not winning that football game with Brett Hundley. At what point do you just say, let's see what I've got in Joe Callahan?
Yeah.
And you clearly know he gave up a bunch of turnovers. Like, it's okay to pull him. I mean, the Bills.
Did he give up here? I'm wearing a gray shirt, so you can't see. But did he give up here?
Yes.
As Gene Hackman said in the movie The Replacements, heart. What? Heart. I have no heart. He's hitting his chest with a newspaper. I don't have one.
I
don't watch football. I watch football movies.
How many more turnovers would he have allowed Brett Hundley to create and stay
This
in
is what Ben's my podcast partner. He laughs at my very good jokes. Screw you guys.
Well, I didn't think that was a joke. I thought you were being serious.
Yeah, I got the replacements reference.
All right, let's talk playoffs. How's our math? We counted this one as a loss anyway, right?
Technically,
this is a Packers podcast. We can't talk about the playoffs right now.
Technically, still alive
in the hunt.
Yes, I mean they threw up a graphic for the AFC. If you're 3-7, you're still in the hunt. So
we have to submit paperwork to get switched to the AFC.
Obviously, we're still in the hunt.
I don't know if that gets filed in time. Ted Thompson might drop the ball on that one.
Yeah.
I'm so sad that he's running our team.
I think you should fight him, Aaron.
I do want to fight him.
You're an owner.
I think I should turn myself into a promoter and make that happen.
Did you see? I didn't see it, but I heard that the WWE did like 2 rings connected with a cage over the whole thing, and they called it Battle something, and they put 3 teams and they all wrestled. I'd like to just get in a cage.
Well, I think, Aaron, you'd have to check the bylaws of the organization you're an owner of, but I think it's exactly like Kevin Costner's movie The Postman. Any owner can challenge Ted Thompson, and if you kill him, you become the GM. I think.
I don't want to be the GM. I don't know if an owner can fight the GM. There's probably some.
No, I think you can.
I think Jerry Jones fights with himself every day.
Yeah, and the Packers have been around longer than the U.S. Constitution, so the laws of man don't apply.
Grandfathered. We're good.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
And here's a very contrarian opinion. Aaron, why don't you, as the owner, instead of challenging Ted Thompson, just fire him?
Yeah.
All right.
Is that up to just Mark Murphy? I mean, is Mark Murphy the de facto owner of the team? He can do what he wants. Who does he answer to?
Where do you think he stands in this Jerry Jones Goodell extension? Where do you think Mark Murphy stands on that? Does he just like, I don't really care?
I think he's kind of like, that's cute that you think you're some great and powerful owner, and I don't care about you, the commissioner, but yeah, I think he's just standing somewhere else.
Do you think he's that way on every issue? Do you think he's just like, well, I gotta talk to a lot of owners. We're kind of shaky. I don't know.
I gotta do anything. I gotta get signed off on this, and there's hundreds of people.
Yeah, like what's it like for him to be in a room with the other 31 owners who are clearly billionaires, and he's just drawing a salary?
Yeah,
So how do you get rid of Mark Murphy? Is there a board of directors on your team that you own?
I'm sure
Aaron?
there is.
Yeah, there is a board of directors.
Okay.
I can vote on them, but I don't even know who they are ever. So
Gus,
like whatever. I went to one of the meetings. It was very enjoyable.
Was it a business meeting or was it a rah-rah?
It was a business meeting in the stadium.
Yeah, it was a business meeting with 70,000 people there.
Yeah, I was more excited about seeing the stadium. And the problem was, let me tell you about this.
You got razzle-dazzled, Aaron.
I know
we've trusted you with the ownership of our team, and you got razzle-dazzled by the stadium.
But I'm sitting in the meeting, and behind me, some other owner is complaining to his grandma. Like grandma,
some other owner is complaining to his grandma.
Yeah, complaining to his grandma. The other owner is complaining to his grandma. Grandma, let's just go. You told me we could play Monopoly, and I'm just like, I'm listening to the actual meeting.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. I've got fiduciary responsibilities, kid.
Responsibilities. I don't care about going and playing Monopoly, Grandma.
All right, where are we on injuries? Specifically, the only injury that matters.
Oh, we had another injury. Severe one.
What was that?
2 injuries of note was Clay Matthews left the game with a groin injury, and Kenny Clark left the game with an ankle injury.
Kenny Clark, that's a big one.
Yep.
I'd rather have the ankle injury.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's pretty serious, though.
That's too bad.
From what I read on Twitter.
Anywho, collarbones. Anybody seen Aaron Rodgers out shoveling or any indication that he's doing better?
Oh, I saw somebody shake his hand after the game.
Which hand? Snaps in practice.
I'm assuming it was the right hand.
Why can't quarterbacks, these superb athletes, these people who they only find like 30 or less good ones, Learn to throw with their other hand. I almost threw a pass with the other hand, and I was a terrible quarterback. Hurt one collarbone.
Are we sure that's not what Brett Hundley is trying to do?
I think that
maybe he's Princess Briding it.
Yeah.
I'm not right-handed, and then he lights it up with his left hand just in time to get the Packers into the playoffs.
Or not.
Yeah. I've gone from doing loser math to doing loser ridiculous explanations for facts. So all we got to do is get things together in time to beat the Vikings on the 3rd, 4th? Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get killed by the Steelers, so
we're gonna get killed by the Steelers?
Yeah. Get yourself ready for that one.
Boy, that's bad.
They may put up 70 on us.
70? There's a mercy rule in the NFL, isn't there?
Nope.
They just put down your quarterback?
It's possible.
So
wouldn't you say it's possible that they could put 70 on us?
Well, if they're starting at the Packer 10-yard line every time, yeah.
I mean, if we go in giving 5 turnovers again, and their offense
if the Packers have 5 turnovers next week, the Steelers are turning that into at least 28 points.
Is it true that Don Mikowski has written a letter to the Packers organization asking Brett Hundley to change his number? So
no, but he was one of the 25 that wants to go play for the Patriots.
Okay.
Hundley?
No, Mikowski.
Oh, Mikowski. I thought Mikowski was coming back. Let's bring him back. He's got to be better than what Hundley is.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, I saw Dan Marino, and I know Don Mikowski's no Dan Marino, but I saw Dan Marino play in a flag football game at the Pro Bowl probably 10 years after he retired, and he was lighting the place up.
That's got to be.
That's because he had a lot of Slim Fast.
That's how you do it in isotoner gloves. Slim Fast plus isotoner gloves equals no Super Bowls. But there's got to be somebody out there who came back from the grave to play for the Vikings.
Why not Kaepernick? Why not Kaepernick?
Do it. Why not?
At this point, what difference does it make?
If Colin Kaepernick's likes urinating into the wind on patriotism, come to Wisconsin. They'll hate you. Maybe we'll win some games.
I mean, he's got to be better than Hundley with no weeks of practice.
I'm sure he is.
And at least if we have to take a knee, he'll know how to do it. That's solid gold. That's a great joke. Screw all of you out there. All of you.
I saw something very interesting last night. I was watching a college football game, and I don't remember which game it was, but there was somebody that was being carted. What's that?
Just start guessing college.
There was a player being carted off the field.
Mizzou.
And every other player that was not being carted off the field was kneeling in respect to the player that was being carted off the field.
UCLA.
How is that a sign of respect for a player that's being carted off the field? That's so weird.
I watched a video about a veteran who met Colin Kaepernick to talk about him sitting during the national anthem.
Oh, yeah.
The veteran talked about the kneeling, and the kneeling isn't. But yeah, we're not talking politics on this. I do that for a fake living. Go on the official stance of go ask your quarterback up and Adam Podcast Association is yay America, yay Brett Favre, yay Aaron Rodgers, and screw you. Who's your quarterback?
Casey
Kasem.
We got Teddy No Water though.
Teddy Two Gloves.
Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater.
Yeah. All right.
Teddy baby. Well,
just hold it together until next week. We'll talk about the Packers' defeat of the Steelers. Predictions. Who said 70-0?
70-0. 70-0, and they still don't fire Ted.
Did he?
I'll probably say 45-7.
I'm saying 14-0 Packers. None of my jokes get laughs.
That's cute. Because that one, we actually think there's something wrong with you. That's not funny.
You know what I have? I have hope. It's next to heart. It's a different organ. They're not all winners. All right. I got to run. Thank you, Brett Hundley, for just, showing up, I guess.
And thank you, Ben, for coming on and dropping some wisdom.
He can't hear you now, and he doesn't listen to this podcast. So I'll take that. Thank you.
Download it. Can you tell him at least download it?
Is he too busy working on the Vikings podcast?
He knows the game. Download. It's a listen, but download. Yeah. All right. I'm Jack Tomzak. That's Aaron Pankey. And John Vitamus.
Have a great week, everybody.
Have a great week. Go Pack.
Yeah.